And, for example, Ramiro Pena, who is a Texas pastor, Hispanic, and who had a Trump supporter, he said Trump's speech likely cost him the election and that he had to reconsider being part of a scam. This is from a story in Politico by Katie Gluck and Kyle Cheney. Jacob Monti, a member of Trump's National Hispanic Advisory Council, resigned after the speech. Monti said, I was a strong supporter of Donald Trump when I believed he was going to address the immigration problem realistically and compassionately. What I heard today was not realistic and not compassionate. And there were others. Pena, the pastor at Waco's Christ the King Church, said, I am so sorry, but I believe Mr. Trump lost the election tonight. The National Hispanic Advisory Council simply seems to be simply for optics, and I do not have the time and energy for a scam. It's really, I mean, you know, it's... Now, so why would he do that? Why would he lie like that and you know, make this sales pitch? Why would he go to Mexico, for that matter? Well, he went to Mexico to steal for 48 hours, to steal a news cycle. Hillary Clinton's out there talking about a very thoughtful, very important $5 billion investment in mental health in the United States and the legal merging of mental and physical health in our healthcare laws in terms of, you know, coverage and things so that you can have your insurance pay for your psychiatrist or psychologist as well as for your physician or your gastroenterologist or your oncologist or whatever. Serious stuff. And stuff that's going to affect your life or people in your families in all probability. But the media doesn't find that interesting. That's not reality TV. Donald Trump is a reality TV star. So, number one. So that's why the media is going after this. And number two, what was Trump really trying to do? He's really trying to shout out to his base. And his base is the white supremacists. Here's just, this is from MediaMatters.org. The response to Trump's speech last night on immigration. Jared Taylor is the publisher of the white nationalist publication American Renaissance. He tweeted last night, hell of a speech, almost perfect, logical, deeply felt, powerfully delivered. Now watch how the media twists it. And then he followed that up with another tweet. Donald Trump has tied our foolish immigration policies to every problem we have. This is epochal, historic, unprecedented. Am I saying epochal right? It's one of those words I've read my whole life, and I'm not sure I've ever heard anybody say out loud. Epical, E-P-O-C-H, anyhow, you know, worthy of an epic, an epoch. And David Duke, excellent speech by Donald Trump tonight. Deport criminal aliens, end catch and release, enforce immigration laws, and America first. Yeah, good old David Duke. Richard Spencer, he's a white nationalist writer and founder of the alt-right movement. This gets really interesting. He says, his tweet was, Trump is returning to the ideas of the 1924 Immigration Act. Now, most Americans, and then he goes on to say, immigrants will reflect the racial makeup of the country. The 1924 Immigration Act, up until 1924, pretty much anybody who showed up here could become an American citizen pretty much overnight. My grandfather came here in 1917, and my father's father from Norway, along with his three brothers. And they went through Ellis Island. Their name got changed. My original family name was Sorensen, but his middle name was Hartmann, and they apparently thought he was German and put two N's on Hartmann, and it's weird stuff. But prior to 1924, anybody could show up, and Ellis Island was having a hard time processing all those people. And so in 1924, Congress passed a law that authorized immigration, but said that the immigrants had to reflect the racial makeup, and I'm not sure they used the word racial. I think it was national makeup of the country. In other words, we've got a certain percentage of Italian Americans. We've got a certain percentage of Irish Americans. We've got a certain percentage of African Americans. We've got a certain percentage of Asian Americans. We've got a certain percentage of British Americans. We've got a certain percentage of French Americans. And so as a consequence of that, the number of immigrants who can come from France or who can come from England, and oddly enough, I think Africa was treated as if it was a country, not a continent. or it might have been country by country. This is not something I'm an expert on, but I understand the broad principle. And the goal was to maintain the racial makeup of the United States. To me, it was a white supremacy. Pure and simple. Maintain America as a white country. That was 1924. In 1965, Lyndon Johnson said, this is racist. Let's change it. And so we changed it so it no longer mattered which country you were. I mean, there are still, quotas and things, but it didn't matter in the context of the percentage of people in the United States of that nationality or of that ancestry, let's say. So once that happened, of course, there's far more people of color in this world than there are white people. Once that started happening, then our immigration profile changed. Up until 1965, our immigration profile was almost entirely white and European. Or white and Russian, or white and Eastern European, or you know what I'm saying? White and Australian. After 1965, our immigration profile got browner and browner, And so here's Richard Spencer, the founder of the alt-right, and his tweet last night was, Trump is returning to the ideas of the 1924 immigration acts. Immigrants will reflect the racial makeup of the country. America first. 1965, then he tweeted again, 1965 will be repealed, 1924 will be revived. And then he tweeted again, extreme vetting will echo it a good way through the ages. Right. So the white supremacists and the white nationalists, and by and large, they're the same people, loved Donald Trump's speech last night and his candidacy, because that's who he's shouting out to. He's doing what Richard Nixon did when he talked about the silent majority, when he talked, the Southern strategy. He's doing what Ronald Reagan did in 1980 when he went down to Philadelphia, Mississippi, and talked about states' rights, which Donald Trump Jr., by the way, did just 3 weeks ago? Same place. The Nebosha, I think it is, County Fair, near Philadelphia, Mississippi. This is the place where Goodman, Schwermer, and Cheney were murdered, the 3 civil rights workers back in the 60s. And you go down there and you talk to an audience of 10, 20,000 exclusively white people about the importance of states' rights and stopping immigration. At least to those brown people, because we got to have a lot of white Europeans coming in to work for Trump's organization, right? Mar-a-Lago needs waiters.
You're listening to the Thom Hartmann program.